Retired Test referee Owen Doyle has reignited debate over officiating standards in international rugby after revisiting the controversial Oscar Jegou incident during the Six Nations, calling on World Rugby to introduce stricter sanctions and a more consistent disciplinary framework for dangerous play. The incident in question occurred during a Round 4 clash in Scotland, when French flanker Oscar Jegou was involved in an alleged eye-gouging incident at a ruck against a Scottish opponent at Murrayfield. The moment, which was not immediately punished by the match officials, has since become a focal point in discussions about consistency, technology, and disciplinary protocols in modern rugby. Doyle expressed his frustration that neither on-field referee Angus Gardner nor television match official Cronan took immediate action during the game, despite the incident being replayed on the stadium screen shortly after it occurred. The lack of an in-game response, Doyle argued, represents a concerning gap in the current officiating system. A missed opportunity during the match. According to Doyle, the incident should have been addressed in real time once it was visible to officials. He criticized the failure of the officiating team to intervene, especially given the clarity of the footage shown in the stadium. Regrettably, Jegou was not dealt with on the day by the match officials, as referee Angus Gardner and TMO Cronan didn't immediately notice the player's action. Doyle explained in his column that he went on to highlight that once the incident was replayed on the big screen, it became undeniably clear what had taken place. When Scotland scored soon afterwards, the replay screen showed the incident, clear as day, Doyle noted. Gardner, who appeared to be watching the screen, talked of the off-field process. "If we don't see it, there's a sighting." The TMO will also have viewed the replay, but he remained silent. For Doyle, this lack of intervention raises serious questions about how the current officiating system is structured and whether it is equipped to deal with such incidents in real time. World Rugby must look into why it was not dealt with on the spot, he added. It looked fairly awful. Disciplinary outcome sparks controversy following the match. The incident was reviewed by World Rugby, citing Commissioner Ed Kenny, who referred Jegou to a disciplinary hearing. The outcome of that hearing has since become a major point of contention within the rugby community. Jegou received a 4-match suspension, a decision that Doyle strongly criticized. The original entry point for the offence was 6 matches, but this was reduced due to mitigating factors, including Jegou's good disciplinary record and behavior during the hearing. However, Doyle took particular issue with the nature of the mitigation applied, suggesting that it trivialized the seriousness of the offence. The mitigation, I kid you not, included that the player was polite and behaved appropriately at the Zoom call hearing. Doyle said that he also pointed out that the absence of injury to the victim, Scotland's Ewan Ashman, was used as part of the justification for reducing the sanction. Another element of the reduction was because Scotland's Ewan Ashman was not injured, Doyle wrote. The lack of a serious injury was no more than a slice of good luck, and it is beyond belief that there can be varying degrees of unfourchette. Doyle's comments highlight a broader concern about inconsistency in how dangerous foul play is judged and penalized. He argues that certain offences, particularly those involving potential long-term harm such as eye-gouging, should not be subject to mitigation based on outcomes or player behavior during hearings. Comparison with Eben Etzebeth case. Doyle's criticism becomes even more pointed when comparing Jegou's punishment with that of Eben Etzebeth, who was handed a significantly harsher ban for a similar offence during Autumn Nations Series action against Wales. Etzebeth received a 12-match suspension, reduced from an 18-match entry point after considering mitigating factors. The disparity between the two punishments has raised questions about consistency and fairness in the disciplinary system. Doyle referenced this inconsistency, echoing concerns from across the rugby community that the current system lacks uniformity when dealing with similar offences. While both cases involved eye-gouging, the difference in sanctions has led to accusations of inconsistency in the application of disciplinary guidelines, particularly when considering the severity of the offence. Calls for a new disciplinary protocol. At the heart of Doyle's argument is a call for structural reform within World Rugby's disciplinary system. He believes that all forms of dangerous play should be treated under a separate protocol that removes mitigation from the equation entirely. It confirms absolutely why these protocols need the most urgent revision. Doyle insisted all forms of vile, sickening, dangerous play must be dealt with under a separate protocol, inclusive of no mitigation. Doyle argues that allowing mitigation in such cases undermines the seriousness of the offence and sends the wrong message to players. In his view, Offences that carry a risk of severe injury should be treated with the utmost severity, regardless of context or character references. That he also suggested that the current system risks damaging the reputation of the sport. Meanwhile, the optics of this outcome present the sport in a terribly poor light, he warned. Impact on the Six Nations outcome. Interestingly, Doyle noted that the outcome of the Jegou incident did not ultimately affect the result of the Six Nations Championship. However, he acknowledged that it could have had a significant impact had the situation unfolded differently. Following the incident, France retained a full complement of 15 players and went on to score the tries required to secure a crucial bonus point in their match. Jegou himself contributed by scoring a try in the 79th minute at Murrayfield, further highlighting the influence he had on the game. France ultimately secured the Six Nations title by just 2 points ahead of Ireland, raising the possibility that any disciplinary action during the Scotland match could have altered the final standings. Doyle pointed out that while the outcome remained unaffected, the situation still highlights the importance of proper officiating and consistent disciplinary enforcement. Questioning the role of the TMO beyond the disciplinary issue itself, Doyle also raised concerns about the role of the television match official, TMO, particularly in relation to Brett Cronan. He referenced another incident involving Cronan during the Six Nations final between France and England, where the TMO played a controversial role in a key decision. When Nika Amashukali called a penalty advantage for England, the TMO promptly overruled the referee, who changed it to scrum advantage and called it over. Doyle explained. Doyle criticized this intervention, arguing that it was outside the TMO's remit. It was open play and, having heard Amashukali's decision, Cronan should not have interfered, he said. It brings into sharp focus the TMO's role, and begs the question, who are they, these TMOs? He went on to question whether TMOs are adequately qualified for the pressures of elite-level rugby. At present, it is seen as a specialist role, and it seems that anyone can apply. Doyle said there are plenty of people doing the job who have never refereed at, or even near, elite level. This, he argues, creates a gap in expertise and understanding that can lead to inconsistent or incorrect decisions, particularly in high-pressure situations. Calls for reform in officiating standards. Doyle's broader argument is that both disciplinary processes and officiating structures need urgent reform. He believes that the game would benefit from having more experienced former test referees involved in TMO roles, bringing a deeper understanding of the game and its nuances. There have been very clear examples which make it impossible to be convinced that these extremely well-intentioned TMOs have the expertise, the experience, and the rugby instinct to be completely competent, particularly when the pressure gauge ramps up, he said. A debate that shows no sign of fading. Doyle's comments have reignited an already heated debate within rugby about consistency, fairness, and the evolution of officiating in the modern game. As the sport continues to evolve, so too must the systems that govern it. The introduction of technology like the TMO was intended to improve accuracy and fairness, but incidents like the Jegou case suggest there is still work to be done to ensure it is used effectively and consistently. Similarly, the disciplinary system remains under scrutiny, with many questioning whether current protocols adequately reflect the seriousness of dangerous play. For Doyle, the solution lies in simplification and stricter enforcement.